You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, so let's now go over the two newcomers on defense that made my list of the top 5 newcomers that Fran Brown brought in this offseason. All right, so the first one, as I teased earlier, is obvious in my mind. Fadil Diggs. I've spoken a lot about him on this podcast, but if you're new to this podcast, that's okay. I'll go over him for you. Fadil Diggs is 6'5". He's 260 pounds. He is a transfer from Texas A&M. In his last year of college eligibility and a starting defensive end for this team, he was a 4-star transfer, by the way, and top 60 overall in the country. Top 60 transfer in the country. All positions. Top 60. On Texas A&M last season, he was second on the team in tackles for loss with 11, and he also had 4 sacks, which is not bad, but I think we're going to see even more from Fadil Diggs. He is the premier player on the defensive line for this team in just about 5 days. The premier player is Fadil Diggs. I'm going to say right now that he's going to definitely have more than 4 sacks, assuming he stays healthy. Let's go with 7. All right, I'm not going to say 10, but we'll go with 7 sacks. So he'll set a career high. He'll nearly double it. It was 4 last year. He's in more of a prominent role at Syracuse in an easier conference than the SEC. Fadil Diggs is in line to have a monster season and put the whole country on notice because, as I said, he's a top 60 overall transfer in the nation. But wherever you look, he's not on any of the lists, any lists. If you look at on Twitter or wherever you want to go, the best defensive players in the ACC, you'll see some Syracuse names on there. You will. You just won't really see Fadil Diggs. It's really odd. Even in a video game, he's given an 81 overall, which was like 12th on the team. He's not the 12th best player on the team. He's much higher than that. I think he's the 2nd best player on the team. All right? So I think with 7 sacks, he is going to put the whole nation on notice. All right, so that's Fadil Diggs. Now, this next name, this is the one I've been teasing for a little bit, may surprise you because it stems from the depth chart that was released on Monday. Marcellus Barnes. How about that? How about them apples? Or oranges? How about them oranges? All right. 5'11", 165-pound corner from Chattanooga, Tennessee. He is a 4-star recruit and top 30 overall cornerback in the country for his class. He is a true freshman, but man, is he good. Defensive backs coach Joe Schaefer said that he is extremely mature. He conducts himself like an upperclassman, which is good. You want to see that maturity from a true freshman. Over the last few weeks, if you've been following along this podcast or doing some research of your own, you knew that Marcellus Barnes was in competition to potentially be a starter at corner for Syracuse this upcoming year. That was obviously really encouraging to hear and to read and to cover. Did I actually think he was really seriously going to win one of the starting jobs? Not really, because he was in competition with Devin Grant, who was all MAC last season at Buffalo. So I was leaning more towards some more experience. But I am pleasantly surprised that when the depth chart came out on Monday, that Marcellus Barnes, the wording is a little weird because it says that it's either Marcellus Barnes or Devin Grant, but Marcellus Barnes, his name popped up first. So he may just be one of the starting corners on this team, opposite of Clarence Lewis, who appears to be the starting cornerback 1. That is highly, highly impressive. So I'm going to say Marcellus Barnes because maybe he's not the 5th best right now. We can say that it's actually Clarence Lewis because he appears to actually be the number 1 corner on this team. But I'm going to say Marcellus Barnes because I think he's got so much potential. so much potential that he could be, by maybe midway through the season, if he's playing well, the number one corner on this team. It's possible. So, yeah, maybe that's a little bit bold. Maybe it's too soon to anoint him, but I think he's one of the 5 best players. I'm going to put him ahead of Clarence Lewis because I just think he's got more potential. Sound good? All right, cool. So those are the 2 defensive players, Fadil Diggs and Marcellus Barnes. Now,